Hey, what's up, everybody?
Morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin.
So we're really chugging along with season 2 of The West Wing.
Yeah, man, this show has been just banger after banger on the episodes. They've been
Yeah,
really, really good. Every single episode's been really strong.
and I'm trying to compare The West Wing to a lot of other prestigious TV shows,
Sure, sure.
and I don't know. This might be the best second season of a show I can think of.
Yeah, you have a lot of shows that go one way or the other, right? First season's a little soft, second season they do better,
Yeah,
or vice versa, right?
yeah,
There are plenty of shows where they had a really strong first season and then nosedive because they had nowhere else to go.
yeah.
You think of like the OC, or
Mhm. Well, I've
Heroes is one that was a big
Heroes is a
one.
big one.
Right, right.
Lost.
Yeah, yeah, Lost, yeah,
I've never
which I've
seen
never
it.
seen.
I've never seen. I almost said West Wing, Westworld,
Westworld's
but I hear that's a big one too.
way different. Second season's way different. Yeah.
But as far as like quote unquote good shows go, I love it when a show gets better each season. Breaking Bad's kind of that way,
Sure.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul did it. Yep.
Sopranos is also a fantastic second season of television, but The West Wing is like, very strong, and with each episode, it seems to be building momentum.
Well, I didn't think that was going to be the case because a lot of the viewers said the second season is so good of this.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, how does it step it up from the first season? Because the first season was so strong.
Perfect. It was a perfect
It was
show.
great, and I agree. I think if I had to sit down and make a list and of my favorite episodes,
Mhm.
with the exception of the Christmas episode in season one, which I
Yes.
absolutely loved,
Yeah.
I would say probably my top 3 or 4 episodes are, except for that one, are in season two.
No, for sure.
Like
Like
just
for
really,
sure, the opening of season 2
yeah,
is amazing.
absolutely. I mean, it's a fabulous set of shows.
And I think it's writers and showrunners specifically should take note because the first season felt like setup.
Right.
Which they still had a lot of fun with the characters and they put them in
Sure.
a lot of interesting situations. But because we had such a strong setup, we're able to just run with season 2.
Yeah, the payoffs in season two have been great.
Yeah,
I feel like the MS thing
yeah,
is about to become a real issue as they talk about re-election.
yeah. They took a episode off, the Ellie episode. They
Right.
didn't really address it, but you still had at home issues.
Sure.
So
The King Lear parallels a little bit with
yeah,
the three daughters.
yeah, exactly.
And
Which I wonder if we're going to see the third daughter. We know that he has a somebody on Patreon pointed out that they've mentioned before that he has a granddaughter, so you can assume that it's a separate daughter. Like it's
right.
not
Yeah.
Ellie. It's not. It's not. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Moss.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
Zoe.
Zoe.
God. Zoe
I'm
Bartlett.
so sorry, West Wing
Sorry,
fans.
guys. Yeah.
Juggling a lot of characters in my head here.
Right. Right.
But no, like it's not those two. So obviously he's got a third daughter, and I want to see that. I want to see her.
I assume with the 7 season run, and we're what 35 episodes into 30,
Yeah.
36 episodes into 158 episode run that we're going to get an opportunity probably to
I
see
would
it.
hope so.
Right.
And also, we haven't seen Zoe in a while, so it'd be nice to see Zoe again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
Maybe we'll get a situation where we get the whole family together, like a Christmas or a Thanksgiving episode where kind of everyone's together.
I mean, they're 2 for 2 on the Christmas episodes.
They've nailed them. They freaking nailed them. I hope that's a trend that continues.
And somebody pointed out that in the first season, I believe it was Toby, he won the Emmy for that.
With the homeless veteran that died.
And
Yeah,
then Josh won for season 2.
Bradley Whitford
Bradley Whitford did.
freaking destroyed that role in that
And
performance.
there was no spoilers, which we do appreciate.
Right.
But they said in season 3, I think it's the case again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have another big Christmas episode that really does it.
And somebody wins for that as well.
Good.
So
Appreciate the no spoilers, though, guys.
yeah, so I'm really really excited for the rest of the show. It's a show that I want to binge, but obviously we don't because we watch it with you guys.
Right, right.
And I'm fine with that. Checking in every week is like a highlight. It's the highlight of my Monday is
Yeah,
watching the West Wing
it
with
is,
you
yeah.
guys. So
All right. Do you want to welcome some new Patreon subscribers to the weekend, guys? So Victoria E, Anna Hicks, Random Fandom, Riesling, and Khalif Watkins. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate you being here.
you guys make this whole thing possible.
Absolutely.
And if you're watching this on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
Yes.
If you don't mind hitting that like button for us, leave us a comment down below. We love hearing all about the West Wing tidbits and behind the scenes. So if you have something you know about the show, you want to let us know about it, tell us in the comments.
Absolutely.
And while you're here, if you want to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of our new West Wing episodes and all of our new content we have coming your way, hit that button and stay up to date.
Absolutely. If you'd like to see full through reactions to this episode and all the other episodes of The West Wing and everything else we watch, please check out the link in the description below to our Patreon page.
Yeah.
You will need to bring your own copy to sync and watch along with us on your own device. We, of course, are watching on Max.
Oh, Max.
Formerly of HBO before the divorce.
Now it's Voldemort.
Right.
Can't say it.
All right. I was wondering with the title if they were going
Yeah.
to play the song. Like we're doing it right out the bat. They don't use a lot of camera fades on this show.
Not
I've
really,
never
yeah.
noticed camera fades before. This one feels like it's going to be tense, whatever this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Rebel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
What's going on with the pardon recommendations?
We got a copy,
They're coming
too.
together.
Don't retry the cases.
I'm not retrying the cases. I'm reading the material I'm supposed to read. I'm making the recommendations I'm supposed to make.
It's Friday. Go home.
Why?
Because I think you're putting too much faith in the magical powers of a new shirt.
Yeah.
My father had affairs.
Did he?
Yeah.
He had a woman in an apartment in Santa Monica
Yeah.
Man.
Oh,
for 28 years.
wow.
28
How did you
years?
caught?
That's tough, man. I can't relate to that,
Well, especially at his age, I
Yeah.
feel like little kids sometimes go through divorce things, but you're a 30-something-year-old man.
Yeah. Well, I meant like my parents are divorced, but like
Mine too, right?
they've never had affairs or anything like that, so that's kind of a tough beat,
I don't know. It's one of the things that we never talk about, kind of
Sure,
thing. So
sure,
I don't
sure.
know what. I mean, I'm not saying they did or didn't. I have no idea what the deal
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, he killed a guy.
it gets
What?
better.
Right, yeah.
Like,
What?
You're not going to give it, right?
Sure. Because it's big block of cheese day.
We're back to
John.
Big Block of
Nice.
Cheese Day.
Yeah.
You know it's Big Block of Cheese Day.
World Policy Studies is holding a forum this morning. I'm going to send Toby.
That's a good idea.
Why?
Well, because you're not sending me.
Andrew Jackson.
He's just giving a speech again. That's awesome.
Big block of cheese.
I'm meeting with the Organization of Cartographers for Social Equality.
Yes.
What do map makers have to do with social equality?
I guess you're about to find out. I'm sure Margaret worked long and hard to make sure that the appropriate petitioner went to the appropriate staffer.
Just wires,
No, I mean TV.
no cameras.
You negotiated that?
Yeah.
They agreed to it?
You want to make out with me right now, don't you?
Donna, I am getting you out of something, though, right?
Nothing. You got me out of the Big Block of Cheese Day meeting.
She's gonna give the speech, isn't
Andrew
she?
Jackson.
Yes, she is.
Had in the main foyer of the White House. I can't believe I'm giving this speech.
yeah.
Were you able to mention me to Sam Seaborn?
I wasn't. I haven't yet, and I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Dad, is your dad dying?
That's tough.
When we're in with Sam, mention what you've just said before, that from everything you've heard, he's the man. He'll want to impress you and show you that he's got access to the president.
Bring me the 10-year projections, a Ouija board, and a magic wand. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. What's next?
That's true. I mean, can you really predict the economy 10 years out?
The thing, Mr. President.
We lost the site.
You lost the first choice. Requires that all non-housing farm and ranch structures built prior to 1900 be preserved by the owners unless destroyed by an act of God.
What are you doing in town?
Believe it or not, I advise the WTO in certain areas of macroeconomics. My grandfather was Daniel Galt.
Really?
Yeah.
You know who Daniel Galt was?
He was jailed for espionage and died in prison 6 months later.
He wasn't put in jail for espionage. They couldn't make espionage. He was put in jail for perjury.
Sam, Stephanie would like her grandfather included among those being considered for an executive pardon.
And you're the only person to speak to about this. That you have the ear of the president. But time's become a factor.
Your father's sick.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
He has to redeem her grandfather in the midst of his father.
Yeah.
His own
He's got
infidelities.
some really, it's really complicated
That's really
stuff
that's
here,
an
right?
interesting parallel.
Ron Sachs
Previous
asked me to
accomplishments.
Oh,
make
for
sure
sure,
you have
yeah.
only one piece.
You fully trained?
Yes.
How many different ways do you know to kill a man?
How many different ways do I need?
All of which is because the FBI is simply embarrassed about this period in their history.
I know. And that's why I have to get meds up.
I just need to be able to give him some good news. He's a sweet man in a bow tie, Sam.
You know what you did today that was real stupid? You gave away the cameras. The cameras in here, I've got a problem because I don't want to look like I can't control the crowd. Good morning. My name is Toby Ziegler, and I'm the White House Communications Director.
I need clean air more than free trade.
How many
Oh my God! He will sit down and ignore them if they do this.
I know.
There it is, yeah. They,
Pizza or something?
Just
Clark
requesting the
Gregg,
file
that's cool.
on Daniel
oh, it
Galt.
is, isn't it? Yeah.
So wildly outside
Colson.
the parameters of your
Yeah.
authority as a political appointee. I guy did 6 months for a capital crime. Now you want to get him a presidential pardon? 6 months for perjury before vexingly dying of a heart attack. Owen Latimer, I.F. Stone. Not everybody at state was wrongly accused. You guys rounded up some pretty dangerous TV comedy writers, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ring Larder just died. Because the Bureau will be embarrassed isn't a good enough reason. I'm putting Daniel
Thank
Galt on
you.
the list.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a heads
He
up.
just gave him that whole point. Like,
Wait, I want to see this.
He's just here to
This
make
is
fun.
Josh Lyman.
The Mercator projection has fostered European imperialist attitudes for centuries and created an ethnic bias against the Third World.
Yes?
It distorts the relative size of nations and continents.
Are you saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes.
Really?
that's
I've heard
interesting.
that they're a little too big. Yeah,
That's
on the
really
bottom,
interesting.
right and top.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yes. What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time. Should we continue?
Uh-huh.
They'd say the WTO benefits corporations and not people.
That's probably true.
Does it?
Benefits both. But let me tell you something. They claim to speak for the underprivileged. I'm looking at a room with no black faces.
Yeah.
No Asians, no Hispanics. Where the hell's the third world they claim to represent?
Drop Daniel Galt.
Nancy.
Drop Daniel Galt. Do it right now.
Why?
Because I just told you to. Sam, Daniel Galt was a spy.
Oh, my God.
He was a Soviet spy.
Based on what?
Diplomatic cables intercepted by U.S. Army Signal Intelligence in the 1940s. He was a delegate at Yalta, and he returned to the U.S. by way of Rostov, where he was awarded the Order of Lenin. It's an NSA file.
Nancy, I'm classified, but I don't have code word clearance.
I have blacked out any lateral reference that is code word classified.
Okay, so the parallel is interesting.
Yeah,
Once
he
again,
just found out his dad is a dirtbag and a liar, and he's finding out that this guy was a dirtbag and a liar.
the guy he's supposed to be getting off the hook. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
a really interesting parallel.
Especially when we're talking about fathers and sons with
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Where else could you put the northern hemisphere but on the top?
On the bottom.
How?
Yeah.
And that's a great
There is no
point.
upside down or right side up in space.
That really is a great point.
Yeah.
Activistic. Free trade stops wars.
Yes, that's it right
That's
there.
it. Free
Yep.
trade stops wars.
Yep.
And we figure out a way to fix the rest.
Wouldn't it be great if there was someone around here with communication skills who could go in there and tell them that?
Yeah.
I hate these people with the heat of a nova. Yet here I go.
Good for. Yeah, she talked him into it. Yeah.
It's the last job I'm ever going to have. This is the last time I'm going to come to work with people.
Is there anything we need to talk about?
Yeah, my wife yelled at me for
Not yet.
trying to run.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephanie's upstairs. I put her in your office because Josh is back.
I have the year of the president. You told her to say that, right?
Sam's not stupid.
This was so important to her. I
I don't
didn't
know why you would think I was like that.
Yeah. That was kind of
I mean, for
a shot
fun,
at
but
him.
I don't know why you'd think I was like that.
Were you able
He
to?
was a spy.
You're sure? Nothing good comes from telling her.
The truth isn't good?
Not right now, no. The father's not going to live another 3 months. Let it go till then. You're in a bad place right now, and you shouldn't make this decision. If you don't tell her tonight, you can tell her tomorrow. If you tell her tonight, that's it.
Donna, this country is an idea, and one that's lit the world for 2 centuries, and treason against that idea is not just a crime against the living.
Yeah.
To understand the last full measure of devotion to treason against them is
Sam.
Yeah.
this girl's gonna find out who her father was.
Not her father, but
Grandfather.
Grandfather, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam. You meant grandfather.
Yeah, this is about his dad.
Big time. When he said fidelity, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Stephanie. I wasn't able to get access to the people I needed to have it considered this time around.
That's
He's
all
a
he
nice
needed.
man.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
He was able to look at her and see
Yeah.
it's not
I
her
should call
fault.
him right
Right.
now.
Can I?
Yeah, it wasn't on him. It wasn't on her. He did the right thing there. Did the right
It's just
thing.
there are certain things you're sure of. Like longitude and latitude.
I don't know if this is the best time to tell you.
Yeah, right.
But according to CJ, I wouldn't be so sure about longitude and latitude.
This is just great writing.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Where are you going?
Toby and I are going to get Sam drunk and then put him to bed.
I'll come.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to meet you there. Dad. It's me.
Oh. Wow.
Playing this song on the way home.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down there. I think the themes They kind of wore the themes on their sleeves.
Yeah,
this episode.
it was fairly transparent, right? But man, the writing was really really good on this.
Very snappy. Yeah, it was great. I mean, like,
This, yeah,
his Sam's father was not a spy, but in many
Right.
ways he kind of was.
he was a fraud. I
he
mean,
kept
that's
a secret like that for 30 years. You know,
right. It's actually the only wine and cheese people. We saw several of them the first time, right? Several different groups with different people.
Yeah.
This time we really saw one. It was the cartographers, and that whole idea, right? That like the perfect analogy right there for the world isn't always what you think it is.
Exactly.
Which is what Sam was dealing with.
Exactly. And so the theme all kind of tied into each other.
Right. Yeah.
And I like that Toby had a nice parallel with he was a protester when he was a child, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he was. I mean, let's face it. I mean,
He was a kid.
I don't want to agree with the old man on this and sound like an old bastard myself.
Yeah.
But the protesting in the '60s, I mean, it was serious stuff that was really going, like
times.
war and like people getting drafted and
It's
the
kinda like-
Civil Rights Act. It was nuts, and
Yeah.
the level you had to be on your game versus this kind of time period was kind of like the trendy kind of protesting.
And it's coming back around to where like protesting today is obviously in 2020 it was very important.
During the
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter protests, right?
Which
During
obviously
lockdown, yeah.
we support it.
Yeah.
100%. Very necessary.
Mhm.
But no, this type of protesting in this episode, maybe not as dire as the 60s.
It didn't seem as serious. You know what I mean? Like they had there was a little bit of environmental protesting going on there. I really feel like it's taken a lot more seriously now. The environmental issues.
Environmental issues are important.
Significantly
We're
important.
not saying
yeah, we're definitely on side if we need massive change in terms of climate change and all,
Absolutely.
and all of that. And I support everyone that's protesting at this point. I feel like at that time it really was more of a lip service thing.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know the extent of it 20 years ago of what of the real dangers of climate change.
Al Gore did.
Al Gore did, right? Yeah, exactly. He the man was not wrong. But yeah, just the idea of you can't exchange ideas because someone's just going to shout. Like we've all like during the elections every year, you see the news feeds and the Twitter feeds and the people who are just shouting to shout on the side of the road, holding up provocative signs. Some of them like swastikas. It's the idea of free speech is you should be able to exchange ideas instead of just. That's why I hate the book banning movements right now. It's like no. Screaming over everyone else is not free speech.
It's complicated, right? Because if you are shouting, if you are screaming, like that is your right to do so. Because,
it is. That's how it works, right? It's freedom.
Country. However, you're right. You're not going to get anything done that way.
Yeah, you're not. It doesn't accomplish anything. You shove your fingers in your ears and say you can't hear anything but what I'm saying, and I won't hear you at all.
In the '60s, if you had people like shouting and screaming, that's a little different. Like you said, the drafting.
Yeah, there were some crazy. I mean, there still are crazy issues going on, obviously, but I mean, people were protesting literally to not go get shot like that day.
And the civil rights movement. It's like these things were so obvious then that it's like it took people screaming, being like,
you look at it now.
Our lives are at stake.
Like we really had to protest like.
Segregation,
right? Yeah, segregation. We had a protest. We had a protest of drafting into a war that meant nothing.
Drafting is completely abolished, right? Or they still reserve?
It's still legal. They still have the right to it. 18-year-olds are still registered. I think 18. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's like 18 to 35. I think you're eligible for the draft. I could be wrong about that, but don't. I remember getting my draft card when I turned 18 when I was in high school.
I think I did too, actually.
Yeah, like you're
I
in.
signed it. I forgot that was still a thing. Like it's so far away that it doesn't feel real anymore.
Well, and it's one of those things where you're kind of like, oh, I didn't even. It's like you chuck it away and you move on with your life and don't really think about it. But we were all eligible for the draft when you turned 18 if it became a thing. I think I was too little for it to be an issue for me, but I think when the first Gulf War happened, Desert Storm, that people were afraid that there was going to be a draft into that, because America hadn't really been in a war since Vietnam. And so that was still a touchy issue. Like, am I going to, are my 18 and 20-year-old kids going to find themselves in a war that they don't want to be in,
And when Afghanistan came around in Iraq, that was just, people were so gung-ho to go.
Right. There's a lot more volunteering, kind of like World War II, sure.
Yeah. That had a draft as well.
Right. But regardless, the focus on, like, we can probably, get through issues more if we actually have a conversation about them and exchange ideas rather than just screaming what we think and not listening to anybody.
Yeah, the point being, if you're screaming about climate change, oh my god,
right. Climate control. That's in my car.
Right? Yeah. Climate change is such a complex issue that you need to have it explained to somebody.
Right.
If you're just shouting about it, of course it's going to fuel their delusion of it's fine. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I and this is I know that we're it's a political show, so I don't mind being a little political, but
this
yeah,
is the time for it.
This is the time for it. Yeah, exactly. We'll discuss it. Everyone gets we're very polarized now, right? Everyone watches their own news that kind of feeds that kind of feeds what they already think, right?
Yeah.
The echo chamber, let's all go to everythingithinkisright.com.
Yeah.
There without the exchange of ideas, there is no moving forward. We all just draw our lines and scream at each other and hate each other without when Watergate happened, everybody left, right, and center was like, this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Donald Trump gets indicted for 37 felonies over the weekend, and everyone's like, whoa, 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 let's not pretend like this is real.
I know.
And it's frustrating.
Most sane people that were on his side, I think, even come forward now and be like, all right, that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
why? Yeah. Why can't
we
be there?
Even if you agree with him,
right?
I think most people are like, yeah, not a good dude.
You got to be able to say it.
It's okay to be wrong sometimes.
It's okay. It is okay to change your mind when you don't know things, when you learn new information. I remember a great episode of Parks and Recreation, right, where Leslie changed the position, and she was before the city council.
Oh, yeah,
she's like, I learned new information. When I was a kid, I thought that chocolate milk came from brown cows, but then I changed my position when I got older and learned about chocolate syrup. That's how we all need to be. When you learn new information, you need to be willing to change your positions.
There's nothing wrong with being steadfast in your ways.
In beliefs, sure, in principles.
But when you get new information and that changes what you believe in, or it changes your perspective,
or should,
that is fine.
That is fine.
It is fine.
You're allowed to change.
It's called growth.
Yeah, it is. We all learn new things and grow, hopefully. But I think one of the big problems with America right now, and I'm not sure
climate change.
Well, sure, yeah. But it's not just denying climate change. It's the fact that you decided watching Tucker Carlson in 1999 that climate change was fake. Therefore, 24 years later, it's still fake, and you haven't read or listened to one thing that would have changed your mind.
What drives me nuts is when scientists come out and they say, hey, this is happening. And then when, you have public speakers come out and go, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
And
I watched a sick YouTube video by a random guy who said that no, it's not.
You have people that study this. They go to college. They spend their whole lives studying this one thing. And when they come out looking petrified,
right.
It's scary. I don't want to freak anybody out, but it is truly scary.
Be skeptical and learn as much as you can, but sometimes it's okay to trust the experts. My car breaks down. I don't scream at anything
you
other
don't
than
take it to Tucker Carlson.
Exactly. I take it to an expert who knows how to fix a car.
And
I get sick, I go to a doctor, they know more than me.
And that's why the whole protest in this episode is so funny, because that's what it was. It was just people screaming about something.
Yeah.
And you need to have a conversation about this.
Right. There is no wrong belief. There are. Let me rephrase that. There are plenty of wrong beliefs. But your ideas are a lot stronger if they're actually supported by the fact that you did the heavy lifting and the work. Yeah, exactly. If you know what you're talking about, you know.
And I like that Toby kind of was there to shut them down, because he's like, look, this is what they're angry about. These are the facts, And that was kind of it was a fun way to show that.
Kind of wish we got a little bit of the speech.
A little taste of it?
Yeah.
Well,
I know it's hard writing. We got a little bit of a summary outside, but it would have been a lot to write. But, it can't be easy to write a killer speech all the time for Aaron Sorkin or anybody.
And that was kind of the sidebar of the episode. Right. The episode was really about the parallels of fathers and sons,
Yeah, and learning and your worldview getting shattered on who they really are. Yeah. At any rate. We have rambled for a while here, guys. This was a great episode. Obviously, it's very thought-provoking. The show always is. It's a great show to keep watching, to have these kind of conversations about who are we as people, where are we going, and where have we been. This is a great time capsule to be like, well, 20 years later, are we any smarter or are we dumber?
Hell, we even had the "Not My President" line in here.
Yeah, that was
not
my president.
That was so weird, man. So,
all right, we'll catch you on the next one, guys.
See ya.